So Leah and I have been here at her parents' home for about a month now, and we've spent a lot of time with our nephews, Jack and Luke, and it got us thinking about whether or not we're gonna have kids. Hey team, welcome back to another Levi's Save the World Hildebrand episode, the channel where we prove that you don't need to be a hero to save the planet. Today we are going to be talking about our choices when it comes to having children and what that choice means for the sake of the planet.
From an environmental standpoint, it makes sense to not have kids, because climate change, a huge part of why that's happening, is us. So creating more people doesn't help the planet, but it's a bit more complicated than that. So let's break it down. So I'm the youngest of 3 kids, and we usually had an exchange student or 2 living with us.
So I grew up with my mom and dad as an only child, nestled in the middle of nowhere on a 10-acre plot of land.
And I grew up in this wonderful chaos of having older siblings and all of their friends constantly around. So, who is it?
It's Jordan. You can answer it.
Hi. That was my brother on the phone.
My whole life I've pretty well been the center of attention, certainly within my parents' eyes, and that was pretty awesome.
So we have an open door policy, something that we affectionately call a swinging door policy, because there is constantly people coming and going from our house. And I wouldn't change that chaos for anything else.
I had a pretty humble upbringing as a kid. My parents didn't have a lot of money, but what they lacked in money, they made up for in creativity. We were always doing arts and crafts, always hiking and swimming and exploring the outdoors. But whenever we did come home to this house that I was born and raised in, it was a quiet space, as you can tell right now.
I've thought long and hard about whether or not I want to have kids. As a woman, I think we're often told in society that becoming mothers is something that's expected for us. And especially as someone who talks about and does a lot of research on sexual health, I know that things don't always go according to plan, or we don't have access to the resources to make those choices. But for me, even though I know how chaotic it's going to be, I really, really want to have kids.
Having spent a bunch of time with our nephews Jack and Luke and our niece Sloan, I understand now that having children is an extremely selfless experience, and that's kind of hard for me to wrap my brain around as somebody who has never had to think about anybody but himself his whole life. But I understand that that's probably the reason why I should have kids. I think that having children is going to be a really important step for me as a person. I also know that Leah really wants to have kids, and I know that it will make her extremely happy, and I've learned through my life that making Leah happy makes me happy. And I think that it's going to be good for both of us. Wow, I got kind of emotional there. Wow. But unfortunately, it's true. The largest environmental crisis facing planet Earth at the moment is us. There are simply too many humans on this planet for the Earth to support them the way that they are living right now. But overpopulation is not solved as simply as you and I just not having children. In fact, it's way more complicated than that. Let me show you. It is a fact that the more education a person receives, in particularly women, the less children they are likely to have. This poorly drawn graph shows the fertility and infant mortality rates amongst industrialized and non-industrialized countries. As you can see here, when women are less educated, they tend to have more children, and this also correlates with a higher death rate. But the more educated and wealthy a nation becomes, the fewer children they have, but fewer die as well. It is in this transition that we see the vast majority of global population growth. And so, until we can reduce the number of people in extreme poverty, the Earth's population will continue to grow. And this gets into what I've talked about so many times on this channel, and that is that people aren't going to care about the planet if they are starving. Now, of course, starving is the extreme here, but privilege is very closely tied to how many fucks you give about the state of the planet. Is it any surprise then that most of the people that you see in the sustainability environmental space online are white? Breaking that trend, however, is a friend and fellow creator that I have met named John Yu, and her channel is pretty awesome. John Yu makes really solid, helpful content for how you can make a difference for the planet and for yourself. In particular, she has a great video about the inclusivity of the zero waste movement, and it really highlights why equality is so important to us saving the planet. But I'm going to leave her channel linked down in the description of this video for you to check out in your own time. So I guess the question is not should or should you not have kids, but rather are you having kids for the right reason?
I think it's unreasonable to say that we're not gonna have children just to save the planet. Because really the evolution of our species, it revolves around people having more children.
Now, while there's no one-size-fits-all solution, I think that it's really important for societies to empower and educate people to make the choices that work the best for them, because it isn't for everyone.
In a lot of countries around the world, couples like Levi and I are deciding to not have children for a variety of reasons. That could be for career aspirations, for fertility reasons, or changing social expectations on what it means to be a person in the world, and that doesn't always mean becoming a parent.
So now the big question of how many children, because this is something that we've debated heavily, but I think we found a nice middle ground. I am an only child.
And I am the youngest of 3.
So we met in the middle because I think that 1 is lovely. I had a wonderful childhood.
But then you get kids like Levi who are a little weird. So I think it'd be good for them to have a sibling.
But let's be honest, 3 children is a crazy amount of kids.
It's a lot of chaos, a lot of chaos.
So I think we've met a nice middle ground with 2.
This is all hypothetical too.
Yeah,
right?
we have no idea.
I'm not pregnant.
No.
The next shot is me cracking a beer woohoo!
We are not averse to the idea of adoption, but from what little research that we have done, it sounds like a crazy amount of work, which is super unfortunate. I don't know why that is so complicated, and that's not what we're gonna get into in this video, but it is something we are considering.
Now, many people can become well-adjusted human beings without having a tiny miniature version of themselves. But I think that having children really force you to think about your own values and then also the world around you beyond your own lifespan.
We're seeing a real shift in how people think about this life choice. And I think saying kids or no kids is just really black and white. And I think it eliminates a lot of the nuances that makes this choice magical. I think we need to decide to have children for the right reasons. And I think that in and of itself will create a better future for everyone.
And a lot of that choice about becoming a parent comes back to our sexuality and knowing what access to resources we actually have and making more informed decisions about the intimate relationships that we're in. If you're interested in learning more about that, shameless self-promotion here, check out the Love Doctor podcast. We'll leave a link down here so you can listen to me talk about sex.
So far, the reception has been incredible. Thank you so much to everybody who went over and listened to the podcast and left a review. All of them are 5 stars so far, and the reception has been incredible. So thank you so much.
I so appreciate it.
But regardless of your opinion on kids and however many you want or don't want, I want to thank you for watching this video, for taking the time out of your day to spend some time with us, because I know that we really appreciate it. And of course, if you are subscribed to this channel, which you very much should be, then we will see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.